Hi everyone! Today we're going to be colouring some Christmas Tinies by Agatha Pop Illustration, and I'll leave the link for the Etsy download in the description so you can grab yours. I'm not going to say that I'm going to colour every single one of these because I always commit myself to things like series and then end up going on to something else and leaving it behind. So we're just going to do a few, and maybe I'll come back another day and do a few more. But we'll just see how it goes. It's a really chill sort of colour along that you can do with me if you want to. So obviously we've got winter themed, Christmas themed things going on, and we've just got to pick one to see which one we want to do first. So, oh look at this. This is a train that goes across 3 of the little cards. We've got a gingerbread house, a snow globe, a little mouse sledding. I think it's a mouse, or it could be a rabbit. And we have a cupcake, a Christmas tree, a letter to Santa, a drum, a car. I don't know which one to choose. They're all really sweet. I've actually printed this on tan paper. I printed it on a darker tan, this one here, and I thought it was just a little bit too dark. So I've gone for a light tan paper, but you can do it on white, of course, or whatever you want to do it on. And I'm not really proficient in colouring on tan paper at all. I had a bit of a disaster when I tried to do a skin tone on tan paper, and I've not touched the thing since. So I thought we'd do it today to hopefully really make our Christmas colours pop, and I don't have any skin to colour on this, so don't have to worry about that. So just looking at what we want to do first then, I've got no plan for this. Maybe we should try the snowman, because I know that Chris Cheng has recently done a snowman tutorial, and without looking at it, I can't tell you exactly what it looks like, but we might want to try and emulate that a little bit. I'm just going to zoom you in, and then I'll get the Chris Cheng tutorial picture up on Google. So I'm just typing that in now. Chris Cheng snowman. And then we'll go on Google Images. Here we go. So this is Chris Cheng's snowman. Now, with everything Chris touches, it turns to gold, as we know. So I'm thinking about trying to achieve something like this and probably failing, but we will give it a go. I'm going to keep that off to the side as my little reference, and we're going to try getting all those different colours of blue and cream and pink and white on that snowman and see how we go. So first of all, I think I am going to do the shadowed areas first. I don't know whether that's the best thing to do, but on Chris's picture, it seems as though she has used a very light touch of indigo blue. Now, obviously I haven't watched the video, so I can't tell you for sure if that's what she's used. It probably isn't, but I'm going to give it a go. So we've got Prismacolor Indigo Blue PC901. And just looking at the reference photo, I'll put it in front of me. Whoops-a-daisy. Stay still. There we go. Looking at the reference photo, her snowman is kind of turned to the left. So her shadows are in a slightly different placement to this. So we're just going to do as best a job as we can do. So using very light, scumbly lines right at the bottom of the snowman, but not quite touching the line art, so there is still that little bit of space, which is probably going to be done with a white pencil because it just shows that roundedness. You've got the dark bit on the curve where the shadow is, and then you've got the bit underneath that will do white, so hopefully that will turn out good. So we've got a little bit of scumbled indigo there. Now, underneath his pocket, I think that would be a little bit shadowed, so we'll add a touch more shadow under there as well. We'd also have natural shadow here under his scarf. So I'll just do a little bit of that. Very, very light pressure, barely touching the paper. And everything should be nice and curved and rounded. There should be no sharp edges. And then under his scarf at the top as well, we'd have a little bit of the shadow just across the top, and then on this side as well. And then as for the face, I guess we'd have quite a lot of shadow under the brim of the hat. So I'll pop some shadow here, and then maybe down the side of his face as well, because I guess this snowman is kind of looking left is just his body is facing forward. So again, just keeping the strokes really, really light. And then maybe he'd have a little bit of shadow from his nose. Again, I'm just looking at what Chris Cheng has done on her snowman. Obviously, she drew that herself. This is an Agatha Pop illustration, so it's not the same thing. But we're just using it for a little bit of reference. And I think there's a little bit just here as well. Okay, so we've actually only got one body ball on the snowman, and then it's got its head. On Chris's there are 3, so it's a 3-part snowman, so this should be easier, thankfully. Then there are some bits of pink, little tiny bits of pink. I think we're going to go for, let's see what I've got here. I think we're going to try with the blush pink Prismacolor PC 928 and put a little bit of that down. It seems to be that it's just above where this indigo blue sits, so very light, small area of pink. Obviously we've got to come back in and burnish all this up. We're still on the first layers at the minute. And there's a little bit of pink here on the face. Maybe there'll be a little bit of pink here. I'm just placing it wherever I think now. I don't know what colour his pocket would be. Would it be a snow pocket? I don't know, because he's not wearing a jacket or anything that would make a pocket, so that's like confusing. Maybe we should just colour it in the colours that we're going to do the scarf. That might make things a bit easier for us. So we've got a little bit of pink. I'll leave the pencils out for when we burnish. And then clearly the majority of the snowman has to be white. It's just these bits of shadows that we put in to make it look interesting. So I've got a Prismacolor white, which is PC, it's rubbed off, PC 938. Give it a little sharpen. And then we'll put in all of the highlights. Probably will have some shadow around the buttons as well. I think Chris has done that too. So just maybe a little bit of this indigo around the buttons, but not too much. And then we'll come in with that white. And because this is tan paper, it should really show up. I'm almost holding my breath doing this. I've got no experience or decent experience using tan paper, and I know that it can completely change the way that colours appear on the paper. So you just have to be a bit careful. I'm going to go under the indigo at the bottom with a nice solid line of white. And then a bit here. And then on his face as well. So I do urge you to go ahead and watch Chris's tutorial. I haven't seen it, but I have seen the thumbnails and the stills from it. And that's where I'm drawing my inspiration from today. But I would definitely urge you to go and watch that, because she is an absolute wizard with coloured pencil. There's something magical about it. I think there's witchcraft involved. She's just incredible. So I've filled in as much white as I really think I want to at this stage. Now we're going to have to go in with the indigo again and try and deepen up some of these shadows, but still keep it looking really soft, which might be difficult. But I'm just going to go in with a really sharp edge of the indigo and redefine this curve at the bottom. Super sharp, but I'm going to use the white to blend this out, so hopefully it will have a creamy sort of milky texture to it that isn't so harsh as these lines are looking right now. But we definitely do need to add these darker areas in for that contrast. we just need to try and make it look soft rather than harsh. So a little bit under the pocket. And then that little bit under the scarf up here. And then on the face, let's just trace around the line art and then softly add a little bit of pressure further into the face. Went a little bit out of the line there, but it's okay. A little bit of shadow under his nose, hopefully that will work out and not look strange. And then we've missed a little bit under the scarf as well. Okay, so we've got all our really dark shadows down. Now I'm going to just relay this pink a little bit. Don't want to go too much with the pink, but I definitely want to have a touch of it there. There's a little bit of blue melting into that pink as well, but that's fine. Then we're coming back in with the white pencil, and what we want to do, hang on, just need a little bit more indigo here. I always forget about these little details. It's like when I'm colouring a person, I always forget the ears every single time. Okay, so we've done the shadow under the buttons. Let's come back in with the white. And I want to go over the indigo, first of all, and lighten that up and make it look a little bit smoother and softer. But I don't want to do it, you know, with as much pressure to the extent that we completely bleach out the blue. We definitely want to keep that there, but we do want to make it much lighter. So experiment with your pressure on this. I'm using a light to medium pressure, and I'm using rounded scumbling strokes so that we don't get anything too harsh. And then just coming underneath, straight over that indigo, and you can see, just comparing, how the white makes so much difference, and it turns it into a shading rather than a colouring, because obviously Snowman don't have blue shadows on them, it's just what appears to be blue. And the Prismacolor white is excellent because it's so opaque. It allows you to create a pastel shade out of pretty much any pencil. I'm going to come straight underneath this again and just clean up that line. Now it does still look rather blue for my liking, but I'm hoping that when we come to the end and we've coloured the rest, this blue will fade. Just by looking at it, it will fade. The eye will fade it back to being a shadow colour rather than anything else. But I am going to quite firmly now push my white into the blue, and in all the areas the white should be. I've kind of eliminated the pink that I put down here, but that's okay. You can always go over the top very lightly with that pink and that will add it on. And then under these little buttons, I want that to be very soft and shadow-like. I'm not worried about colouring over the buttons either because they'll be mostly black. Just want to make sure that this indigo is as pale as it needs to be. Let's not forget this little bit under here. And then the face. So I'm going to start here under the nose with this shadow and really try and press that out. So I'm pushing right into the paper now and hoping that it will look like natural shadow. So just colouring all the white bits in and then moving down to the indigo. Here comes Rosie. Here's a little pitter patter on the floor. Okay, so I've gone over everything on this face, even the line art, because I don't like messing around with little tiny details and trying not to get pencil on things. I'd just rather figure it out later. So I'm just taking a step back to have a look at what we've done, and I feel like the blue is a little bit too predominant. So I'm just figuring out how to claw back some of that white area. I think mainly it's just layering on the white and just hoping that when it's finished it will look like a shadow. So I really put a lot of white on that face in comparison to down here. I think I'm going to add a little bit more. Just see how far I can get with burnishing it. I'm just standing up to see if you've got glare. You have, I think. Maybe not. I've got to keep going now anyway. Whether you had been glared or not, it's a mistake I always make. Because I forget that my overhead light reflects wax. So when that happens, you can't really see what I'm doing properly. I hope that hasn't happened this time, otherwise I'm going to have to start again. Okay, let's get this one a little bit softer as well if we can. All right, let's move on. So I'm just going to add a little bit of pink back in, making sure that my pencil is clean, my white pencil, otherwise we're going to drag a lot of blue into the pink area. And just adding touches of that pink back in. Even though it's, you know, pretty much burnished, we can still add a final little haze of colour over the top. And then the same here on the face, so we're making sure we've got the white blending it in, and then a little bit of pink. Just that little touch of pink. Hopefully that works out. We'll colour the rest and we'll see. So of course he's got to have a lovely orange carrot for his nose. So I've got PC 918 orange, and I'm going to go just underneath, do the underneath of the carrot. And then I'm going to skip a few shades and go to Spanish Orange PC 1003. Just sharpen it a little bit because these are very tiny spaces that we're dealing with. These Christmas Tinies come in slightly larger formats and then full page formats as well. So when you look on the Etsy listing, it's up to you whether you buy the miniatures or the larger scale images. So we've got a little bit of that Spanish Orange, but I just want to deepen up the underneath a little bit. I think I'm going to try a bit of Pumpkin Orange 1032. And it's such a tiny space, it doesn't really make an awful lot of difference, but I do want to try and cram as much dimension into each little bit of this illustration as I can. But you just need really sharp pencils. But the good thing about these little tinies is, again, it's like with small victories, you have only got a little thing to colour, so it shouldn't theoretically take you as long as something, a bigger design that's got a lot more detail. I'm just fiddling about with this until I feel like it's how I want it to look. Probably would have been easier if I'd have printed the larger scale ones, but that's where we are now. And let me think what I want to do. I think I might actually use a slightly lighter blue to try and blend these lines out a little bit. So we used indigo, didn't we? Let me see what else we've got. Something quite light. What's this one? Blue Slate PC 1024. Let's give that a sharpen and see what that looks like. Again, we don't really have a lot of tooth to play with anymore, but this very light top layer might just be the only thing that we need. You know, rather than having a block colour, it might just be that we need a little hazy bit of this lighter blue just to make that transition a little bit softer. I think that is working. It's working to my eye anyway. I don't know what the camera's picking up. I'm just trying to, these are so crumbly and soft, these pencils. I'm just trying to make the areas that are darkest just that little bit lighter and softer. A little bit of white over there. And I think this blue has helped to do that. So I'll just add a little touch of this in any of the areas where we've done the indigo and we want it to blend a little bit more softly into the white. But I still think I've used too much blue. But this is an experiment, as I said, so even after doing this channel for a number of years, probably nearly 10 years, I'm still guessing a lot of the time when it comes to colouring and just trying to emulate things like Chris's Snowman. But I by no means have the innate skill of knowing exactly how to get what's in my brain onto the page or how to get things to look hyper realistic. Okay, I'm going to stop messing around with it now because, like I said, when we've done everything else, it might change how our eye sees this snow. So what do we need to do now? We need to do black for the eyes. So I'm thinking about, I was thinking about just putting some black pen on there, but I think I might use a very thin Prismacolor, which is a really sharp, quite hard pencil. This is very thin black 747. And hoping that it doesn't snap on me and create a big black line everywhere. in order to make this snow look really light and bright and like snow, we need to make sure that the colours around it are really bold and vibrant, and that should hopefully make the snow sort of fade back a little bit. Just keep blowing the little bits of debris off the page. I hope it's not annoying. So I'm going to take a look at that through the camera. It's not looking too bad. Okay. So we're going to do these buttons on the body of the snowman as well. I don't think that this pencil is very deep, the colour. Even though it is black, I feel like it could be deeper. So I probably will come in with a little bit of pen to redefine that. Okay, so let's see what I've got here. I've got a 0.3 Unipin fine liner, and I'm just going to outline, and hopefully this will work because we've got quite a lot of waxy pencil. Let me just grab something to, yeah, that's probably why it's not working, Claire, because look, it's run out. What else do I have? That one's too thick. I've got a 0.2. Does that one work? It does. Okay. 0.2 Unipin fine liner and very steady hands. I always do these bits of pen in the middle of the project, and then I realise afterwards that I should have waited until the very last step, because you can bet your bottom dollar when I'm colouring with pencil I will interrupt and disturb all of these black bits of pen and they will end up smearing. Hopefully not, but it usually happens. So for his mouth, we have got a little straight line mouth here, but I am going to do little black dots, and hopefully it will look like little pieces of coal. It's that small I almost can't focus on it with my eyes. Maybe I need glasses. And then I think I'm going to redefine the carrot a little bit. So just underneath. Whether that's a good idea or not, I don't know, but I think what I want to do is put a little bit of white Posca pen on top of his nose, as if a bit of snow has landed on top of the carrot. There we go. Okay. Now I am going to probably redefine the lines, or I might even use my white pencil to go completely over the edge lines of the snow, because that might make it look a little bit more natural. See how I just completely cover up the black lines around the snow, and I'll do the same. I think I'll do the same on the bottom as well. It might not completely cover it, but it should serve to blur it and make it look a little bit more natural on the page than having a frame to the shape, if that makes sense. Let's do the edges as well. And of course you can use Posca to do this. I'm just seeing what happens with pure white first, white pencil. I'll see how I feel about that as we go on. Right, so what next then? We want to do the scarf. So again, I'm taking all of my inspiration from Chris Cheng, and her scarf is red and green and it's very Christmassy, so let's go for that. So for red, we're going to need a dark and a light, I think. So I'm going to have a very dark red tone colour, which is the Tuscan red, and it's the one that I always use alongside black raspberry when I want to really deepen up reds. So we'll use Tuscan red PC 937, and we need a light bright red. What's this one? This is Scarlet Lake. Not sure about Scarlet Lake. Do I want to use Scarlet Lake? We'll try it. So Tuscan red, we're going to do different colour stripes on this scarf. So let's just have these smaller stripes in red, and I feel like this tip is going to break on me any minute. I don't know whether any of you have problems with certain pencils in Prismacolor that just love to break and love to crumble. For the most part, they're okay. It's just these certain colours. Mine are Tuscan red, and chocolate is another one that does that quite a lot. I'm trying to think if there's another really soft one that doesn't like to keep its point. I think Tuscan red and chocolate are the main culprits though. So I'm just going to do my best with this tip until it falls out completely. And then I'll give it an electric sharpen, and hopefully that'll keep it strong. So I'm just doing the outlines of these stripes. I am going to just pull that out, I think, and electric sharpen it. So mind your ears. Sharpener does not like that pencil. Okay, well, it's not perfectly sharp, but it feels strong. So we'll see how we go with that. I'm just doing these little tiny stripes. And then the same thing on the bottom of the scarf. There we go. And then we've got the Scarlet Lake. So let's see how that goes down. It blends in nicely with the Tuscan red, but I don't know if it's quite bright enough. I want it to be really, really vibrant. Let's try permanent red. Yeah, so that is much brighter of a red, and that's what I want, because I really want that snow to fade. So just using the Tuscan very sparingly to make that blend a little bit more seamless. Do the same here as well. So just back and forth in with the permanent red and the Tuscan red until it looks blendy but with contrast. I'm also slightly rounding the tops of these stripes just so it has that bulk of a scarf and doesn't look too flat. I'll do the same to the bottoms as well. It's just a little detail that might not look like anything much to the camera, but I guess it just helps to give it that little bit more dimension. So pop my permanent red in. And then redefine with the Tuscan. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I'm keeping these colours out because I know I want to use them again on different elements of the illustration. Now we need a green, and I want a really Christmassy, foresty green. So, thinking about my Prismacolor chart, which I'm going to dig out right now, hopefully. Or maybe not. There it is. Wrong drawer altogether. Right, so Prismacolor colour chart is something that I've made. It's colour family, and it will help us figure out what green to use and what combo of green. So I'm looking at these, and obviously these three here are really nice, bright and vibrant colours, but I just think they might be a little bit too vibrant. I want to switch them up a little bit, I think. So I'm going to stick with the dark green, but then I want an apple, I think, an apple green. So we're going from here to here, we're jumping through the families, which you can do. And then from the apple, I don't want to go yellow, I want to go here. So from the apple, I think maybe pale sage. I'll give those three colours a shot and see how it works out. So making sure these are nice and sharp. Okay, so we'll start off with the dark green PC908, and we'll do the rest of the bits of stripes in our scarf. See, I don't really think I'll be able to fit all three of these colours thinking about it. I only used 2 colours for the reds, didn't I? I'm always so used to doing 3 colour blends. I'll add a little bit of apple. Maybe we won't even need the pale sage. Maybe the paper itself will just act as the highlight colour. So I'm skipping between dark green and apple green and just trying to leave a tiny slither of the paper in its original colour and hope that that works as our highlight. Just rounding the scarf edges again. We've actually had snow today for the first time this year. It's the 3rd of December and we woke up to a blanket of probably 3 to 4 inches of snow, I think, this morning. So it's a nice, apt day to colour a snowman, I think. There's some areas of these that are a little bit too squished together and we've not got a great highlight on them, like this one here. So I'm just wondering if I add a little bit of white, we'll just pop a little bit of highlight back in. such a tiny space to work on. I'm glad that the illustrator has given you options for sizing, because imagine how much easier this would be to do a blend on even a half page size, you know, or even one that's just the size of 4 of these little squares. So I don't think that's looking too bad. Definitely got contrast in there anyway for a tiny weeny little illustration that's kind of the size of my thumb. Also, I bought the wrong size nails. I bought real short nails. I normally buy short, but I didn't look properly, and now my nails look absolutely tiny. They're like baby nails. So yeah, I'll have to look closer next time when I'm buying my fake nails. Okay, so we'll continue down the scarf. Hopefully this isn't too boring for you. I know that it's just a lot of me waffling and then silence, but I don't want to speed it up or cut any bits out, because I think people do prefer to see a real-time, step-by-step colouring in most cases. I know some people don't. I'm sort of like half and half. I can watch people do real-time colouring, but sometimes I'm like, just I want to speed it up, you know. But that's what the YouTube speed up button is for. So we've got 3 more green sections to do. I think this apple and dark green has worked out quite nicely. Like I say, I think the dark green, grass green, spring green combo would have just been that little bit too bright. And I wanted it to be quite traditional, the red and green. So not too in your face. I want to do a background for this, but I don't know what to do and I don't want to mess it up. I don't know whether to draw some more snow that he's sitting on. No, I don't, I'll mess it up. I need to do something though, maybe even just like an ombre colour of some sort. Or maybe I will just leave it as it is. Take the easy option. Phone keeps buzzing. Sorry if you all think that's your phone, by the way. I can't turn it off because I need the little image to look at that we are referencing here. Okay, I think that's the scarf done. Obviously I've got to do these little frondy bits, and Chris has done hers in white, so let's see how that works out. I'm going to give this another sharpen. And let's do these little tails in white. I am going over the line art on purpose, even though it's not completely faded and covered up. I just want to see how it looks. That's okay for now. Maybe if I do a background, those lines will disappear and it'll look a lot better. So for the pocket, I don't know how he's got a pocket on his body, but we're going to do it in the same colours that we've used because I really want to keep it tied together. So because the candy cane is going to use red, I'm going to use green on the pocket. So hopefully this will be a bit of an easier task with it being a slightly larger area. So I'm just doing the curve of the line art, and then we'll do a bit of a blend. So going from dark green to apple green. Yeah, I don't think I need to use the pale sage actually, because the paper is acting very nicely and very smoothly as our highlight colour. Now obviously if we were using white paper, I would want that pale sage, but it's a nice thing about the tan is you can use the tan of the paper as a colour. So that's what I've done there. And what's next? So we want, for the green, we want the ivy on his hat, don't we? So again, this is a very, very small, tiny little area. And there's not much room for blending, so I'm just going to do my absolute best to make these look like they have depth and also like they have bits of highlight on them as well. It's not an easy task with a tiny little thing like this. But I think that will do. And then we want the red back for the berries. So I'm coming back in with that Tuscan red, just doing the very edges of the berries on the left hand side. And then we've got our permanent red to fill them in almost to the edge, but leaving a little speck of white, which I could put in with the Posca pen later, so I'm not too worried about it all blending and becoming a solid colour, because I can come back in with Posca, as I am wont to do, because you know how I love my white pen highlights. And what else? Okay, the candy cane. Let me see. So I've got to make this, it's red and white usually, isn't it, a candy cane? So I'm just going to do a little bit of Tuscan red on these stripes at the bottom. And then permanent red up to the top, making a right mess of staying within the lines. Yeah, that's a complete mess. And moving on. So we need some white for the candy cane. Probably should have done the white step first. I always forget to do the lighter colours first, because I'm a dark colour first person. That's just how I've always coloured. And just trying to get blending done on such a small space is so difficult. Just add a tiny bit of white to the red areas to lighten them up slightly, but it's not great, this candy cane, it's not great. I maybe should have used, oh my gosh, I should have used glitter gel pens. Where are my glitter gel pens? Oh Christ, bear with me. Everything's going wrong. Right, I need to remember where I've put my gel pens, guys. Bear with. I've got them in a big pencil case. Here we go. So glitter gel pens. Oh, you know what? I could have used my deco gels, which are literally above me on the shelf. I don't know. Right, let's see. It might actually be an easier idea to do that. Oh no, wait, I've picked out a red straight away. I'm so chaotic. This is a hybrid Pentel dual metallic in pink and metallic pink. Well, I really want a red. Don't know if they do red. What's this one? Pink metallic pink again. Right. How does this look on practice? It's a little bit pink. Let me grab the deco gels. which I should have done in the first place instead of fannying around. I don't like how the packaging does this. It's kind of annoying. Let's pick these two reds and test them out. So that was the pink Pentel. This one, does it have a name? That one's definitely more red. And what's this one? Ooh, it's kind of pink but kind of red. I don't know, I can't decide. I think maybe the middle one. Let's go for that. So this one is the Karin Deco Gel Star Sparks, and I'm unsure of the colour. Let's have a look at my little chart. Star Sparks, it's got to be this one. So it's simply called red, simply red. Okay, let's put these away. And let's do a bit of gel pen, just a tiny bit here on these stripes of the candy cane. Probably should have done that instead of the pencil. Never mind. Now what about this little swirly thing here? I really want to keep it to a very limited palette of colours. What would the little swirly thing even be? Some kind of lolly? Thinking. What about orange to go with the carrot on his nose? So let's get the pumpkin orange PC1032 and do a bit of following around this spiral. And then we can come in with the orange, because it's just such a tiny weeny space to work with, but I'm just going to stop moaning because I chose this size to do. So it's all my fault. And I wonder if we can fit a little bit of the Spanish orange in. Probably not. So it looks quite flat at the moment, so I want to really try and deepen up the shadows a little bit. Maybe I should use a yellowish glitter. Let's see what we've got. So I think we've got a couple of gold options, not so much yellow. Let's try this one. Just giving that a little bit of sparkle, because we're trying to cover up a bad blending job. And why not use gel pen just to cover that up? It is what it is, you know, not going to be too fussed about it. But maybe we should have a bit of this red gel pen on the berries. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so next up is, I think to complete the reds, we just have to do the band around his hat. So using the Tuscan red, let's make some shading. And again, I feel like this tip is it's wobbly. So a little bit of shading to the bottom and the left edge of the band, and then coming back in with the permanent red. There we go. I'm just wondering about putting some clear glitter on the snow, the actual snow itself. Now that I've got the glitter pens out, it's a free-for-all. I'm just going to add a little bit more white under here because I feel like it's not as clean as I want it to be. Got to be careful now I've put gel pen down because it takes forever to dry. Right, we need to do his hat and his arms. So I need brown for twigs. Let me pop these away. Let's get out a brown. What kind of brown do we want? Doesn't really matter. Probably a dark brown and maybe a bit of burnt ochre. So that's sepia, that's not dark brown. Dark brown and burnt ochre. So those numbers are PC 946 and 943. Oh, it broke. Right, let me use the electric. Watch your ears. Okay, I might as well use the electric on this one as well. Right, we have some perfectly sharp pencils now. So, using this dark brown, I'm going to go underneath the lower half of the stick. So each little prong will go right on the line art like this, so that we're left with that, and we'll fill the rest in with the burnt ochre, and that should hopefully give us a nice bit of shading in a tight space. And again, we can use the tan of the paper as a bit of a highlight, making sure always to come back in with your darker colour and crispen up those shadows. Look at that pen, it's still wet. Crispen up the shadows after you've added the lighter colour, because it will make the darker colour fade a little bit. So you do need to like reapply your dark colours. I think that's okay, because I don't want to lose the highlight. And then just being careful of the glitter, because I've done it too early on in the process as usual, and now we have to be careful of things. I'm trying to use the very edge of this sharp point, but it is quite difficult. I'm not as happy with that twig as I am with the others. See, I've just literally done that, and as I was doing it I knew that was going to happen. Hopefully the black of the hat will cover that up. I've just smeared the gel pen. I feel like when I sit down to do these tutorial videos, nothing ever goes to plan. I'm never organised enough, and I always have to go rooting around the drawers in the cupboards for things that I've ended up needing. Maybe I'll come back in a bit and put some highlights on those twigs, because they have gone a little bit dark. Now we need a black, so black Prisma, here we go. And I think we're going to need, that sharpener's trapped. I think we're going to need a lighter grey, and we'll go with, let's go with a warmer grey. So let's see, let's go with black and 50% warm grey, PC 1054. And I'm just gonna have to sharpen these. Watch your ears. Okay, that should do. So under his hat, we want to create the illusion of shadow under the brim. And again, I am just looking to Chris's illustration for ideas on how to do this. Not that I can execute it anywhere near as well as Chris, of course, but it is handy. So let's just go underneath these berries that we smudged. I don't know why I say we, it's like the royal we, isn't it? But I feel like you're all here with me when I'm talking, otherwise it'd just be me talking to myself, which is never good. So we have a little bit of room left on the hat there. to fill in with our grey. And then we'll probably do something similar. So I'm going to fill the top part in with black. But as we get to this sort of area, I'm just going to outline and think about it being shaded. So let's see how that works out. I'm going to come in with that 50% warm grey. Hopefully that's a light enough shade to transition from the black. I think I'll probably use a white pencil as well. So I'll just leave those little bits for now and come back with a white pencil and smudge those highlighted bits in. There we go. Just want to check that you're not getting glare again. Oh no, that's perfect. And then for the top of the hat, let's do some black over at this edge. And again, just looking at Chris's to give me ideas. We'll do a couple of different highlight areas on this hat. So really deep black area there in the centre, and then another one maybe here. And then we should be able to use our warm grey to soften those edges a little bit. And it ends up still looking like a black hat, but a black hat with shine. Same as with the snow, it should hopefully look like pure white snow, but just shadowed. But I do still think I've done too much blue on there. And then we will come in with, I mean, you could use the 10% warm grey actually. That might be a better idea. Let's use the 10% warm grey rather than the white, because we don't really want to take away from the white of the snow. And just fill in the gaps, keeping your strokes a little bit jagged so that it's got that sort of shine look to it that's not a perfect stripe. And then again here with the 10% warm grey, which is PC 1050, 1050. We'll add in some highlights here. Just use a little bit of white because I feel like these highlights on the brim aren't as bright as the ones on the hat, and I want to try and make it look good. So pretty happy with that. And I think you can tell the little shadows on the buttons. I think that does add to it. So this is basically done, but now I'm thinking of what can I do in the background, or should I do a background? I don't know, it's difficult. Maybe I will outline this with the Posca. This is my favourite type of Posca white pen. It is the PC1M, and I want to get all of the Posca colours in this particular nib because this is my favourite nib. And I often find myself wanting to do little dots and highlights with different colours and wishing that I had this particular nib set of Posca in all the different colours to do that. So hopefully I'll be able to get that soon, and that will really help because I'm always reaching for them. Okay, so I've forgotten that little tiny bit under there. It makes all the difference. I think it's nice. I think we need to add some white for snow though, because it's a white gel pen and Chris did it and I'm just in awe of her. So let's just add a little bit of snow onto the brim of his hat. Don't go overboard, Claire, don't go overboard. And then what else can we add snow to? We've already added some on the carrot nose. So maybe a few little flicks on his scarf like Chris has. I'm so, conscious of making sure that I always credit Chris or credit anyone who I am referencing from, because I don't want to be accused of stealing ideas. So thank you very much, Chris, for showing us all how to do this, or at least providing the finished coloured image so that we can mimic your style however badly. Gonna add some little dots onto the berries as well. And what else? Maybe a little bit of highlight here on these twigs. It's probably not great, but holding my breath again. Okay, so we've got bits of snow on the scarf. Looks a bit strange. Let's add a few more bits of snow, maybe some over here. I hope it looks snowy and not just like strange white marks. Don't go overboard, Claire, don't go overboard. A little bit on the pocket maybe. Don't want it to look too formed and perfect, you know, that's what I'm trying not to go for. So a bit on the top of his hat as well, because of course he would have snow landed on the top. What do we think then, guys? Do we think that's it? Do we think I need to add, a background on this, whether it's just an ombre background, and if so, what colour? Help me. Or shall I just leave it and not mess it up? Really don't like these two little sweets down here. I think I'm just going to go over the edges. Because I'm not keen on that. I'm not keen on this candy cane and this lolly or whatever it is. I think I probably messed it up worse using the Posca, but maybe if I just redefine the red a little bit. I don't know. I think that's the worst part of the whole thing, is that piece of candy cane there. So it just doesn't look right at all. And I'm trying to colour over something that is still wet, which never works. I need to let that dry, don't I? I wonder if I just... No. This is... I can't leave things alone and then disasters happen. Oh man. I should have just left it. Okay, so this is the worst looking candy cane I've ever seen. I bet you're all screaming at the screen now. Leave it alone, let it dry. Yeah, I should have just left it as it was. Let's do these little bits of scarf. I don't know if that's made it look better or worse. Maybe I should have these pens confiscated from me rather than think about buying more, because I just seem to go overboard. This is still a bit wet. That is horrific. I'm so sorry. I'm apologising. Right. Leave it, Claire, leave it. Right. I'm really, really deeply unhappy with that candy cane, but I think overall it looks really good. I don't know whether to add a little bit of snow on the bottom or not. What do you think? Am I going to wait for your response, or am I going to just go ahead and do it and like I usually do? No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. So I really hope that apart from the candy cane, you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I would love to know what you want me to do next. If there's any particular image on here that you want me to do. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to be doing all of them because I just can't commit to anything, which is the God's honest truth. So let me know. Hope you've enjoyed the waffle. Hope you've enjoyed the little bit of colouring. I'll leave links in the description for this page download and also for Chris Cheng's Snowman video. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.